just drop one more message. So like it's the processing aspect of a situation. Um the elaboration, just in case TikTok took down the video, where I have to let people know this is the season where they're doing major kidnapping, they're doing major soliciting, and the hope of soliciting for the purpose of harvesting organs. For some people, energy, also intellectual property. So at this time, this means like a lot of people are being observed, especially those lately who have been going to the hospital since like February up until now. And I feel like it's going to get a stop maybe towards like June to like August. The latest is like September. And it's due to the simple fact when it comes to psychological purposes, okay? And as I put on there, it's for psychological purposes. For some people, when they know for a fact that they can have certain control of people, because a lot of people don't literally utilize like the left part of the brain, okay? The left hemisphere. And with that being said, most people fall behind because your frontal and your temporal and your occipital lobes are usually the go-to whenever somebody's name could be Gertrude. Yeah, someone is utilizing. I feel like I heard that name a long time ago, which is like they're supposed to have been like a known gypsy or a reader or a person that could do like psychic attacks, demonology, and those things of that sort with sigils. And if they can have the picture, they usually utilize them in psychology for the energy psychological aspect. So this is also letting people know when lawyers, judges, um, and they get their like medical team involved and they're into like say for like I said, most of the time it can be indirect if you're not aware of the situation and how they're trying to use it. And when they're aware, like, okay, what's the weakness, what's the stress point of these people family, right? And if they know that you're going through rocky marriages, health conditions, you're going through issues with your children, right? That one process where they're going to play with is going to be in the aspect of your temporal lobe, okay? And when they get into that part, they know your angular and your supramarginal gari is not like protected. You're not utilizing it to its full capacity, right? And when they know you're not utilizing this from with the full capacity, they're not only going to attack your temporal lobe at this point where people gain the brain fog in the brain. Now they're utilizing your occipital lobe. So when psychologically being cross-examined, they're going to utilize, like I said, if they're going to figure out, do you have issues with your children, do you have issues with your family, marriages, relationships, and those sorts, right? They will hire people that they know not only the psychological aspect, they're going to know on a spiritual. So it's like, okay, well, it seems like they're struggling with their words. So at that point, they're going to attack your occipital lobe. And then they're going to conjoin like, okay, what's going on with your temporal lobe? The more trauma and the more abuse for certain people on the average aspect that's not really caring for their brain, then they can actually just go ahead and just attack your frontal lobe because they know that you lack the capacity of certain self-controls. You will have food addictions. You will have taboo addictions. You will run into a lot of issues. So when they know that, at that point, that's when the attack can go very bigger into your angular and your supramarginal gari for them to use to go ahead and like do like if they wanted to use reverse psychology, then they could and it would work. For somebody with me dropping this type of information, because I'm getting like the FBI, somebody, a hitman, and like they're paying very close attention to this one. So like I feel like something that could have been like 12-hour turnaround, this is gonna turn into a 12-hour. Okay. I'm also getting something twin towers or something like that. Like someone could be from like 9/11 or did something with 9/11, so military ties. Um, New York, someone could have got someone that could be from Manhattan or something. But when they do this, this is like linking them to figure out what part of your brain is not going to pay attention, which is your visual. And then it's like it can decline in your auditory. So your processing of what the words are being said. So it's like someone reading your Miranda, but you didn't process it. Most people end up, do you not know in law that even though they reading your Miranda rights to you, and you literally, like say somebody really did have incompetency and didn't understand the Mirandas, that they supposed to dismiss that case. And then if they didn't and they charged the person and that person end up going to prison and say like prison reform is meant for people to get out of jail and they're actually supposed to be able to conduct themselves appropriately amongst society, but say that they don't and they get more aggressive, those are usually those people. Somebody's birthday could have did this around October 25th, where someone can discover something over the last 50 years of how they utilize this situation to blackmail and they carry on certain aspects. Like sometimes that walker is walking because they know this family is very old and someone got dementia or something like that. But like say that their health was still good or something like that, they'll be like, okay, well, we can figure out how to give them this type of medication to, to expedite things. But most of the time it's like an attack to the temporal or occipital lobe. And then if they know that they can grasp you there, they'll go towards your angular and your super marginal one. But most of the time, if they know a person is like, yeah, we can get them to do anything, to do boys, do girls, people, escorts and stuff like that, they usually utilize and attack the frontal lobe. And that's how they're able to control like the narrative or the subject at the matter of whatever it is that they need to, because the inferior frontal cortex is to help people with speech, articulation, and processing what it is that they're saying, which is like very important for you to use your words and have understanding of what you're saying, what you're speaking on. But sometimes the Wernicke's area is not comprehensive. So they don't have that comprehensive aspect. So somebody could have been utilizing that in the spirituality, tarot, hoodoo, voodoo work. And it's like somebody that can do the work on brains. But that's usually, you won't usually find people that do that in hoodoo and voodoo, because that's been an aspect that most people used to try to gatekeep. And that was more towards readers that were like, of Caucasian or European descent and things like that way. So I'm just giving you that. But also, people in Spain, they have that knowledge as well. So people that have ties to Catholic Church, Vaticans, and stuff like that. So other Spanish countries won't have it, but Spain would have that knowledge on that aspect of how to utilize certain hemispheres of the brain. So someone could be from Spain, someone could be from Europe, they could be Dutch, they could be from Switzerland, they could have Viking or Wiccan or Gypsy type things. And those are usually people, or Australian, that they usually use the hemisphere of the brain. But in a psychology aspect, in a court of law, most of the psychiatrists or psychologists that they utilize, that's what they usually do. So I highly suggest, if you just came in, you're going to have to watch the video from the beginning to understand what it is. But that's what I'm giving you. But for somebody with this type of detail and information, there's going to be a 12-hour turnaround in a situation. All right.